Hello viewers, this is Paladin of Odin, and this is some more Magic the Gathering Online. This is another episode of the Standard Commentary series. So, Red Deck wins versus Green-White Scales. The popularity of Scales continues to climb. Monastery Swiftspear, Fiery Impulse to clear the way, so that'll be 3 damage. So Scales will be down to 16, Renown on the Glory Chaser, so now it's a 2/2 Menace. It's still early, so Scales can play... it'd actually be really helpful if he could play Scales right now, but not always an option. Avatar the Resolute. It's usually unfortunate when you have to play Avatar the Resolute when there's nothing else on the board. Glory Chaser gets in for 2 more, so Scales is down to 14. But the great thing about Scales is it can put counters on creatures. A Dromoka's command right here would be pretty good. Nissa, Voice of Zendikar. Okay, makes a plant token. Something I've been meaning to say to you guys is I'm cutting back on the amount of videos that I'm going to be putting up from now on. I have been putting up 3 videos every other day, and the reason why I was putting out so many videos was I was thinking that that's the amount of content that you guys would demand. I have heard nothing about it from you guys, but I just assumed that that was either enough or more than enough. But now that's starting to wear on me, and I'm gonna have to cut it back to 2 videos. I hope that 2 videos is still enough content for you guys, and I'm going to continue to put out videos. It's just a little fewer than I used to. So Dragon Fodder going for an attack all in on Nissa. And he lets her die. At the very least, he could have thrown the plant token in front of the Swiftspear. Dromoka's command. So, gonna punch the Glory Chaser. Avatar becomes a 4/3. And passing the turn. And he has 2 fetch lands. He's down to 1 card, which is really bad news considering the red deck has 4 cards in his hand, which is kind of unusual at this point in the game, but could be that he's just waiting for like this round to throw down something like a Titan Strength Teamer Battle Rage combo. And attacking all in. So how is he going to block? Or is he going to block? Okay, throws the Avatar in front of the Swiftspear. No tricks! Swiftspear dies. 2 damage goes through. Scales is on 12. 11 now. 10. And Endless One for 6. It's going to be pretty tough for the red deck to get through a 6/6. Pretty much has to 2 cards to kill it, at the very least. Dragon Fire. Okay, so he does have 2 cards in his graveyard, so he could double Fiery Impulse and kill it. Wild Slash, Exquisite Firecraft, or Tricks in Combat. But that's pretty much all he can do to kill a creature of that size. Okay, Pile Driver. And passes the turn. So Scales is top decking, but he has enough mana to play whatever he draws. Okay, going into attack phase. No attacks. Back to red. Goblin Heel Cutter. Now that's a card that fits perfectly for this situation. It'll make the Endless One unable to block. The only problem is the Heel Cutter is definitely going to die here. And, well, actually, 3 goblins at 6, 7, 8, 9. Well, he can chump block with the plant token because Pile Driver doesn't have trample. Oh, collateral damage to kill off the Avatar. So, plant blocks the Pile Driver because he really needs to save himself from that amount of damage. Takes 4, and Heel Cutter bounces back to his hand. And Scales is in pretty big trouble here. And concedes. There was very, very few cards that would have helped him there, and I don't even think that they would have won him the game, even if he had them. So let's go to game 2. Well, Scales had to mulligan once, but he did get to do first turn Hardened Scales. And first turn Goblin Glory Chaser from red. For a second there, I thought he didn't have a second land. What do you have? Hangerback Walker turns it into a 2-2 because of Hardened Scales, so now he has a blocker for the Glory Chaser. And even if he kills Hangerback Walker, he'd still have blockers for Goblin Glory Chaser. Red passes the turn, so time to build up momentum for Scales. Now would be a very good time to throw down a Managorger Hydra, because another Hardened Scales. What I was going to say is, thanks to Hardened Scales, Hydra would get 2 counters for every spell that's cast, and because it's so early and there's no cards in the graveyard, it would take a minimum of 2 cards to kill the Hydra, and that's not efficient enough to kill him because of Scales. And it's even worse now that there's 2 Hardened Scales. And it looks like Red is lamenting the fact that there are now 2 Hardened Scales in play. He's going to have a hard time getting through this Hangerback Walker. And even when he does, there's going to be a ton of Thopter tokens. Hordling Outburst. Well, that should help him go wide against this single creature. Okay, buffing up the Walker to a 5/5. And there's the Hydra. It looks like the red deck is having second thoughts about this game now. Yeah, double hardened scales on Hydra means that every spell that's cast, he gets 3 +1/+1 counters. So the first spell you cast, he becomes a 4/4. Second, he becomes a 7/7, and so on and so forth. Hydra is hard to deal with for a red deck, even without scales, because you have to time it right. You have to kill him as soon as possible. If you get this is a 2 now. Huh. That's just a Christmas Dream scenario if he gets Nissa. He doesn't really need it yet. Molten Vortex. I don't really think that's going to help you a whole lot. So Hydra's up to a 4/4, though, because this isn't a spell when he uses this ability, he could kill the Hydra if he has 2 land in his hand. Okay, and it looks like he's doing just that in response to the Hangerback buffing up again. So, 1 dead Hydra, thanks to Molten Vortex, and he has an 8/8 Hangerback Walker. Wow. 3 hardened scales. And now he has a 7/6 Avatar of the Resolute. No attacks, though. Another Hordling Outburst. And attacking in with the Avatar. He would have to commit 6 creatures to be able to kill the Avatar. And he just chooses to take the 7 damage. And I was just thinking, it's too bad that the red deck isn't playing Atarka red, because something like an Atarka's Command would be brutal for him right here. Because he'd only have 1 blocker versus 7 attackers. You know, these 6 goblins that would get through would all be 2/2s. That would be 12 damage, plus 3 from Atarka's Command. So that would be 15 damage from a single attack. Unfortunately, there's nothing like that in Mono Red. Lava Step Raider. Not the kind of creature I would put in my red deck, but he follows that up with a... Oh, where'd he go? There he is. Reckless Bushwhacker, which... Wow. Even with 3 hardened scales, there's nothing he can do here. He's attacking mostly in. 5, 6, 7... So, scales is down to 4. Abzan Falconer makes all of his creatures flying. So, he wasn't wrong. That was game. Ouch. Well, there you go, folks. That was Red Deck wins versus Green